What do Yelp, eBay, and Microsoft all have in common? Besides all being tech companies, all three of these businesses use funding from venture capital firms in the early stages of their development. Web-based companies are very popular right now. Facebook, Twitter, and Groupon are among the many web companies that have grown immensely in the last few years. As I read about these companies and others like them, I noticed that many of them receive funding from venture capital firms. I was curious why so many tech companies were attracted to funding from venture capital. I also wanted to find out if one of my favorite web companies, Yelp, had venture capital backing and what role the VC firm played in Yelp's success. As I did my research, I was shocked by how many companies received investments from VC firms and by how successful some of these companies have become. Venture capital firms offer funding to new small companies. As Gavin Reed describes in his book, Venture Capital Investment, an Agency of Practice, that for many fast-growing companies, the biggest obstacle slowing their growth is lack of capital. A long-established enterprise with ample assets for collateral can solve this problem by going to a major bank for a loan. Many new businesses, though, do not have the collateral to secure a loan or the liquidity to make regular loan payments. This offers an opportunity for venture capital investors to fill a need for businesses while also hopefully earning a return on their investment. Unlike a loan from the bank, venture capital investors exchange their capital for a percentage of ownership in the company. Investors typically seek to invest in companies that are small and unquoted, Reed explains. These companies offer investors an opportunity to gain through growth potential, meaning that if the companies grow rapidly, so will the value of the investor's stake in the company. According to Gina Harkness, a prior employee of her venture capital firm, Thomas Weisel Partners, while the goal of venture capital is to turn around a company for IPO or a buyout as soon as possible, underlying investments can be held for up to 10 years or even longer if the fund is extended. Because investors get their capital back when a company is sold or goes public, there is an incentive to quickly grow the company so that it will receive a higher valuation when the shares are sold. Getting an investment from a VC firm and then taking it public seems to be the preferred path for growing web companies, and Yelp is no exception. In 2004, two Yelp co-founders, Jeremy Stoppelman and Russell Simmons, started the review website Yelp. According to Jeffrey O'Brien of Fortune magazine, the pair came up with the idea of creating a platform for people to receive recommendations and to leave reviews on local businesses after Stoppelman needed a doctor but had no way of finding a good one. The company quickly grew and by 2007 was receiving 1.8 million users a month. For many people like myself, Yelp is the first place we check to find a nearby car wash or to see if people like the new restaurant in town. Yelp allows users to personally review businesses they enjoyed or were dissatisfied with, and in many ways has replaced the classic Yellow Pages. The company generates revenue by selling ads to local businesses. Stoppelman and Simmons' former PayPal colleague Max Levchin invested an initial $1 million in Yelp, but the company quickly went through the money, O'Brien notes. In 2005, Yelp received $5 million from venture capital firm Bessemer Ventures. In 2006, the company raised $10 million in funding from VC firm Benchmark Capital, and according to Lali Siddig of Red Herring, received $25 million investment from Elevation Partners, a venture capital firm co-owned by musician Bono. Yelp needed money from investors to keep up with their rapid growth. The company needed to hire more employees, expand marketing and sales, and build more service. As with many new growing companies, the demand exceeded their production capability. Yelp filed with the SEC to take the company public in November of 2011, as investors looked to add liquidity to their investment. The company went public in March of 2012 at a value of nearly $900 million, according to PC Magazine. Within a few days, share prices had jumped over an additional 50%. Bessemer Ventures, Yelp's first venture capital investor, now had the opportunity to sell their share in the company for over $300 million. According to Gina Harkness, the Yelp IPO was very successful and led to major profits for the funds we had. While most venture capital investments are such a success, Gina explained, some venture capital investments can be very profitable. Because of this long-term investment, the rate of return on some of these companies when they IPO is astronomical. Returns like the ones earned on Yelp offer investors the incentive to continue funding new businesses. Since Yelp's initial public offering, the company has continued to expand. According to a former employee I interviewed, Yelp is still growing a lot. While I worked there, there was many new hires. On sales department, my department, every department. They were always hiring. The website continues to add millions of new reviews and add new users every day. According to Yelp's website, the company now has over 160 million visitors per month. The value of the company has also continued to grow. As of October 2015, the company was valued at over $1.7 billion, according to Google Finance. As I sat in the office at Thomas Weisel Global Growth Funds in San Francisco, and I looked out of the window of the 38th floor at the view of the bay, I couldn't help but think that the investments made in Yelp and companies like it by venture capital firms seem to have paid off greatly. The marble floors and the fine art hanging on mahogany walls are a testament to the profits that are achievable in venture capital. A former employee's description of Yelp's offices are very different than the offices at Thomas Weisel Global Growth Funds, but also paint a picture of success. The culture at Yelp is very laid back. Free food, everyone gets a free MacBook, free beer on tap, beer pong, always some event going on. While the tech world and the finance world are in many ways very different, the relationship with venture capital firms and web businesses has proven to be profitable for Thomas Weisel Global Growth Funds and Yelp and many companies like them. Without the funding from venture capital, Yelp and many companies like it may not have found the same success that they have. Gina Harkness suggests that VC firms accelerated Yelp's growth because they gave them the capital to grow much more rapidly than if the company had to wait to become profitable before having the budget to grow and expand. Apparently, web entrepreneurs agree with Mrs. Harkness' sentiment, because many of the big names receive VC funding at some point. Venture capital investors are willing to take risk and offer funding to companies that may not be able to find it elsewhere. As long as VC firms are able to make huge returns like they did with Yelp, the relationship between the two worlds will likely continue. Next time you use your iPhone or Microsoft Office or leave a review on Yelp, consider whether your favorite companies would be here today if not for venture capital.